If you walk into a modern martial arts gym today, you will find a highly structured, disciplined system. There are padded mats, boxing gloves, colored belts representing rank, and masters teaching precise, calculated movements like the jab, the roundhouse kick, or the double leg takedown. We view learning to fight as a modern, sophisticated pursuit, a sport or self-defense system developed through centuries of refined tradition. But long before the first boxing ring was ever built, learning to fight was a daily high-stakes requirement for survival. In a wild, dangerous world where you had to defend your tribe, compete for resources, and hunt mega-predators, knowing how to fight was not a hobby. It was a basic biological necessity. So, how did ancient humans actually learn to fight before martial arts existed? And how did our bodies literally evolve to pack a punch? To understand how our ancestors learned to fight, we first have to look at the remarkable anatomy of the human hand. If you look at a chimpanzee's hand, they have long, curved fingers and a tiny, weak thumb. This is perfect for swinging through trees, but it makes it physically impossible for a chimpanzee to make a proper fist. If a chimp tries to punch, their fingers stick out, and the force of the blow would instantly shatter their own hand bones. But evolutionary biologists have discovered that the human hand evolved its unique, short fingers and long, opposable thumb, not just for holding stone tools, but specifically for combat. When you clench your fist, your thumb wraps tightly over your fingers, locking them into a solid, rigid block of bone and muscle. This buttressing effect protects your delicate hand bones, allowing you to strike a target with maximum force without breaking your own hand. Our hands were literally reshaped by natural selection to become weapons. But possessing a weapon in your hands is useless if you don't know how to use it. And the first way our ancestors learned to fight wasn't through militaristic training, it was through play. Biologists call this rough-and-tumble play, and it is a universal biological program running in almost all mammals, especially primates. When you see children wrestling, chasing, and play fighting on the living room floor, they aren't just being hyperactive. They are running an ancient high-speed neural simulator. Play fighting allows young humans to calibrate their reflexes, test their physical strength, and learn the basic mechanics of gravity, leverage, and balance without actually risking injury or death. It is where they learned how to grapple, how to absorb a fall, and how to read another person's body language. Crucially, play fighting also taught them social boundaries. If a child bit too hard or struck too aggressively, the other children would stop playing, teaching them how to regulate their aggression to remain accepted by the tribe. As they grew, this playful grappling naturally transitioned into the world's oldest martial art, wrestling. Human anatomy is uniquely built for grappling. Our upright bipedal posture, wide shoulders, and rotating hips give us a powerful base of support, allowing us to generate massive leverage from our core. Long before the invention of spears or clubs, close quarters grappling was the default setting for interpersonal conflict. Our ancestors learned to wrestle by wrestling. They learned how to use an opponent's own weight against them, how to choke, and how to pin someone to the ground. It was highly physical, highly intuitive, and practiced daily as a form of social bonding, status competition, and physical conditioning. But our ultimate combat superpower didn't happen in close quarters. It happened at a distance. Sapiens are the undisputed long-distance throwing champions of the animal kingdom. If you put a professional baseball pitcher next to a chimpanzee, the chimpanzee is physically much stronger. But if the chimp tries to throw a stone, it can barely reach 20 miles an hour, and its accuracy is terrible. A human, however, can launch a rock with pinpoint accuracy at nearly 90 miles an hour. We can do this because of a massive anatomical redesign in our shoulders, chest, and waist. Our flexible, low-set shoulders act like giant catapult slings, storing elastic energy as we pull our arms back, while our twisting waists launch that energy forward. Throwing stones was the very first time our ancestors learned to weaponize physics. They practiced this skill constantly, throwing rocks at trees, targets, and small animals, turning a simple river pebble into a lethal long-range missile. When it came to weapons, learning to fight was a process of observational mimicry. Prehistoric children didn't have formal schools, but they had front-row seats to the survival activities of the camp. They watched the hunters and warriors return, seeing exactly how they held their spears, how they balanced their weight, and how they struck. Children would carve smaller, blunt wooden versions of spears and clubs, practicing their thrusting and throwing motions for hours on end, turning play into a direct rehearsal for adult survival. They learned how to use the spear not just as a hunting tool, but as a defensive weapon, practicing how to parry, block, and strike with the wooden shaft. Eventually, as human groups grew larger and resources became scarce, fighting transitioned from individual self-defense to coordinated group combat, the birth of warfare. To fight as a coordinated unit, humans didn't invent new combat moves. They simply adapted the highly sophisticated pack hunting strategies they had been using against megafauna for thousands of years. They took the tactics of encirclement, ambush, flanking, and silent coordination and turned them against rival human groups. They learned to fight not as individual warriors, but as a single, collective machine, guided by silent hand signals and shared plans. We built a modern world of martial arts gyms, self-defense classes, and tactical manuals. But your body is already the ultimate combat manual, sculpted by millions of years of physical conflict and survival. Your clenched fist, your springy shoulders, and your rotating hips are the physical record of every battle your ancestors ever fought and won. We didn't survive because we were the most aggressive or the most violent species. We survived because we learned how to master our bodies, how to weaponize physics from a distance, and most importantly, how to stop fighting, put down the spears, and cooperate.